And good afternoon, Rando fans. We are back with another race in the 2019 Link to the Past Randomizer Tournament. I am Cool Papa Bell 2282. Alongside me is my co-commentator Tracy M. How are you doing today?
Oh, doing fantastic. Looking forward to a Game 3. This will decide someone here is going to move on to brackets today. So really exciting match today.
Yeah, this one is going to decide the first seed to come out of Group AB between these two. And as you can see, we have opted for standard mode for this third race.
Yeah, I really like this choice for azder. He lost Game 2. This standardizes, no pun intended, part of the race. It also, ironically, makes them go through an area that they really tried to avoid in the first few matches. Azder, with the overall just general movement advantage of the two, so hopefully for him, this gives him a nice lead. But of course, we got the bomb start, so that's always a tricky one. But of course, you know, if you're not used to doing standard, it could actually be difficult for either one of them.
Yeah, escape is definitely one of those high variant spots. You know, sometimes you just never go there until an hour and 10 minutes into the seed, and you know there's your red cane that's just been sitting on Uncle the whole time or something like that. So the standard does kind of smooth out that unpredictability a little bit.
Yeah, with this bomb start, it's probably one of the harder ones. So you saw they got the 10 bombs at Uncle. In a standard mode, you're guaranteed to get some sort of weapon there. Obviously, bombs is one of them. You could get a sword, a hammer, fire rod. I think is a possibility. Red cane. I may be missing a few, but obviously, if you don't have a weapon, you can't get through this. So you got to get something.
Yeah, and the devs also have coded in that for weapons like this that have ammo, if you take a death at some point in the escape sequence, you'll revive with a little bit of that ammo back, so that you can never really get totally stuck at this point in the seed.
Yeah, my understanding is if you die in the first part, you would get a full refill. If you die in the second part, once you get to the sewers area, once you get past the door that Zelda helps you get into, you get a partial refill. And of course, they could pick up something along the way that makes your life easier. That's completely randomized. Ghost Runner's doing a very good job with the bombs. And more bombs!
That definitely can't hurt. But yeah, it looks like Rayvis is a little bit more practiced with this bomb escape. Has picked up a few seconds heading through on the way down to Zelda's cell.
One of the few times you're not going to want a death warp here.
That Green Guard not really cooperating with Rayvis there, but gets through it.
Just the map there, so really no extra help in the escape chests.
Yeah, this is Game 3 between these runners, so they should have one little Triforce marker there each. And yeah, this is the deciding game for the upper part of the bracket in the groups. So the winner of this race will come out of the group with the number 1 seed and head into the main bracket stage of the tournament.
The loser, of course, won't be out. They'll play the winner of Lunchtime versus Spleeby for the second spot in the group. So one nice thing we'll mention about the bomb start, though, is you'll definitely have bombs to check the back of escape area. A lot of times, if you have, even if it's just your sword, which is really nice to start out with, you can't always get back there. You have to wait till you get those gloves later on to be able to pick up the rock and go back there in the more traditional way. A traditional randomizer way, in any case. I guess technically it's the traditional way in a regular run, but you're never going to go there. And of course, you'll notice the light here. This is done so they can get through the escape without worrying about dark rooms. If they come back here later, which why would they? But if they did and had no lamp, it would be dark again. And still no help.
Yeah, just a pretty dry escape sequence so far. Yeah, as someone who mostly learned to play this game from Randomizer, there are all sorts of things that if I ever pick up the NMG run, I'll be like, oh, I'll just never go to half of this game.
Yeah, exactly. I'm kind of on both ends, so yeah, I've played this game casual a lot, and when I say casual, it means going everywhere. And then I played Randomizer, and you go to where you need to go, so... What a lamp in the back of Escape, that's interesting. So no dark rooms today. Not really a needed item for these runners, but certainly it'll help them out.
Yeah, and also we'll point them in the direction the logic wants them to go. That could suggest we're going to have an Aga seed, or maybe that they're supposed to find a glove somewhere and then head up Death Mountain pretty soon. Could also mean the back of Eastern Palace is in play. All sorts of things we can do with that lamp.
And the lamp being a fire source in general could open up parts of Desert or Hera early on if they have other access to them.
You can tell it's a dry seed when we have to sit here analyzing what good the lamp is. They have just found
That's all
nothing.
they've found. Well, they got a boomerang now, so there's something.
And we've got a red crystal up on Tower of Hera, regular crystal in Desert Palace, and then a pendant in Eastern.
Which means they're going to find a bow, of course.
Yeah, naturally.
Okay, no one's going to do the lumberjack check. A little early for that. Some people like to go there early for the knowledge, and others are going to skip it. Rayvis doing a nice tree pull for some rupees there. Ooh, and a glove there. Okay, both are going to get that. Rayvis choosing not to pick up the piece of heart in the other location. As they're also going to pick up the tree pull. Just get him to that Zora money that much quicker.
Yeah, so at least some convenient starting items here. You've got money for the bottle vendor and more bombs if you need them. You have enough bombs right now to find everything in Kakariko. So Rayvis finding another bomb under that 50-50 stone out there.
The tricky part is if you don't get some sort of weapon, if you want to go to, say, Mini Moldorm Caves, you're going to need to use bombs. So you need to have more than, like, the 4 that Azure has right now. I guess 4 exactly would work out, but he's going to use some here, so he's going to need more. And some safety and some blue mail. More bombs. So just some safety and blue mail. We'll see what's in the back here. And more rupees. Okay, now I'm going to check out the well.
More rupees, great.
More rupees. Or not pour this seed, I guess. Oh, and Moon Pearl. Okay, so we're either a hammer away from Dark World, or we're a couple swords or a sword and a cape away from Aga. And with that early lamp, it could be either one.
Yeah, although I think having that glove early on will make us a little bit less worried about Aga. Bottle's a nice find, so we can not isolate Sick Kid.
And a blue bottle. And a blue bottle especially nice. And let's see what Sick Kid has for us today. Just
A
a piece
pretty-
of heart.
Pretty nice stink on that sick kid check there.
Yeah. Azure having made up some of the ground he lost early on in the escape. And some arrows. So what do we get in Kakariko? We got a bottle, a blue cane, and some blue mail. Oh, we got a moon pearl. That's an important. We got at least one important item. Couple of luxury items as well, but
Yeah, and I guess that blue cane isn't bad early on since we're sort of desperate for any kind of weapon for Mini Moldorm Cave.
both runners going to leave that extra bottle. Obviously, can't get it right now. They're never coming back for it. Both going to check the race game before running through it. And interesting. Well, Azure decided not to pick up the 300 rupees. Looks like Rayvis is going to go back for it. That'll give him enough money for. Oh, they'll get him really close to Zora money. So, depending on what money Azure picks up and how important Zora is, that could be a factor.
Yeah, Zora is in logic with that glove, and with the Moon Pearl, you might be thinking about if you want a fake flipper right now, and those 300 rupees would get you basically to Zora money, so...
Yeah, the fake flipper play is not a bad one here. Doing Zora on its own and walking all the way there without the ability to check the waterfall fairy is kind of not a great way to do it. And bombos, which may or may not be needed.
And not surprising that Rayvis is headed in the same direction. This is sort of our next best item location.
And
Looks
another
like he's
bottle.
Wow.
That's 3 bottles in just under 12 minutes.
Azure deciding he's not going to need that fairy at any point.
Did Rayvis go right by the dam? He did, didn't he? That could be a bit of a time save. We didn't see much there.
Yeah, it's got that bombos in it. He might be thinking about heading over to Agina, and a lot of runners like to pair those together.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that bombos, again, may or may not be necessary. Could be necessary for either Meyer or TR, of course. It also could be necessary for Ice Palace if we don't get a Fire Rod anytime soon. Wow, a whole lot of nothing in Mini Moldorm Cave.
Yeah, they replenished the bombs they spent getting in, but that was about it.
Much. Yeah, an extra container heart's never a bad thing, but not what they're looking for. Both running into that crab. Thankfully, with blue mail, it's only 1 hard damage instead of the 2 with green.
Yeah, and Rayvis did pick up a 20 there, so he is over 500 rupees if he wants to make this fake flipper sequence break at this point.
And there's 300 rupees. And Azure will be able to do the Zora check just as easily. He'll be just a few rupees short at this point.
Yeah, he could always duck into this cave outside of Ice Rod Cave and farm 20 rupees real fast if he wants to be sure.
I think they're both going to go for it because otherwise you'd save him quick out of there. Both getting the fake flipper. Looks like they're going to both do the hobo check first. And Azure's got to hope he gets some rupees here. Otherwise, he's going to have to farm 3 of them.
Be pretty annoying to have to farm Zoras or something for 3 stinking rupees.
I know, right? But we get 50, so we're fine.
We will also get to see what's on the Zora ledge up here. And I admit, I don't really know all of the splash deletion setups just yet, but I'm pretty sure they don't have enough to pull off that particular trick right now.
Yeah, I don't know all the setups either. There might be one that involves bombs in the lamp, but I wouldn't count on that being the case.
The red boomerang is actually really helpful for that because the shiny
Because of the
bit,
sparkles.
yeah, takes up one of the Ancilla slots.
And a sword. Okay. An out of logic sword here. That's interesting. Which makes me wonder if Death Mountain has the flippers for them, since that's completely in logic to go up there with the the gloves and the lamp. Both having set up a water walk will make this a little bit faster than swimming. Without boots, it's not as big of a difference, though.
And just some more rupees on the ledge there, so...
We won't go back for that. And more rupees in Zora. So we'll get a couple of save and quits. So now, do you go to Death Mountain, or do you go to Eastern area?
Ooh, I mean, Death Mountain's only 2 checks right now, but...
3 checks, 2 you can get.
Yeah, that's true.
And Eastern, you might be able to get up to 6 if you include Sarasala's Plaza. The one benefit to going up the mountain first is that you do get the save quit spot. On the other hand, since Eastern is a pendant dungeon, you may never have to come back here. So less likelihood of a double dip.
Yeah, and our runners might be thinking they're more likely to find something in Eastern that would help them on the mountain, like mirror or hookshot, than they are to find the bow up on the mountain, and then they have to clear Eastern, which they don't want to do anyway.
And it looks like Swamp House has our green pendant. Oh, and another sword. And a hookshot. There you go. So it looks like it was a good decision to come here first. Oh, and Rayvis is going to just save and quit with that hookshot. Probably going to go straight up to the mountain. Oh, Azure looks like he is too. Took him a little longer to make that decision.
Yeah, I definitely can't blame our runners for taking that hookshot right up the mountain right now.
Because now, as opposed to Eastern, which has up to 3 items, could be one of those items is on Armos Knights, which we won't be able to get to, and it's not a crystal. Death Mountain, we have the 3 checks we already talked about, the 2 that we can get and the 1 we can see, but also we'll have Paradox Cave and Spiral Cave, and that'll give us another 8 more items we can look at and pick up.
Yeah, and if our runners...
Rayvis gonna check what's that lumberjack.
Yeah, it probably feels like he's never going to be closer to the cave than he is right now. So if you're ever going to check it, this is it.
5 rupees, not going to go back for that, even if we do end up having to go through Aga.
I was going to say our runners also might be thinking they might find the hammer or the mitts up here on the mountain to give them Dark World access, which would open up even more checks. So
yeah, and now they could do Aga right now. They have the Master Sword, but it's not actually in logic, and so one of those swords was gotten using the fake flippers. So we would need to find either another sword, the cape, or flippers to put Aga in logic. Or maybe they just find the hammer or another, or the mitts, and then they don't have to worry about it. Okay, red boomerang. We're not going to get that, I don't think. Most runners tend to prefer the blue one. Okay, as you're making his way across the bridge with that hookshot. Rayvis going to see that red boomerang, probably going to skip that as well. I mean, I suppose I might pick up a red boomerang if it was easy to get to and I didn't already have the blue one, but that one, this case we have neither of those. Oh, ether. Again, might need it, might not.
Yeah, that red boomerang can help out your menuing if you don't like having that blank slot right there.
Yep.
Or again, for some of those ancilla glitches we were talking about. But since they already pretty much know they're not going to have to splash delete at any point.
Boots and mirror.
That's something.
Boots, of course, one of the nicest items to get. The mirror now opens up Tower of Hera. And I suspect both runners will do that before going over and doing whatever else. Might see a Spiral Cave check first. Spiral Cave being much simpler. That having the boots for Spiral Cave makes it a much more enticing option than without.
Yeah, the boots also open up one more check down at Bonk Rocks, but I would imagine we'll see Tower of Hera cleared before our runners think about that.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, just some rupees. We'll save and quit probably to the old man to go up to Tower of Hera. Probably going to pick up that heart container on the way that we saw on the top of Spectacle Rock, just for extra safety. It's very easy to pick up, so.
Yeah, so pretty linear seed so far. Kind of an obvious choice in front of our runners most of the time to this point.
Yeah, I mean, a couple times they've had to make a few decisions, but yeah, I think in all cases, I think these are the right choices. I mean, yeah, going to Eastern, maybe you find something big, but you just can't guarantee that.
Yeah, that Eastern dip or not was really the only decision they had to make. But as we talked about, there's just so much to do up here on the mountains. So.
And yet, the only other decision spot would have been to go to the mountain first and then go to Eastern. And it turned out to be a pretty good decision they didn't go that order, because they would have gotten that hook shot. And there's the hammer. So no Aga. We see a map check over on Rayvis' side. I saw a pendant on Pod. So it might never be back in that area again. I did not see the rest of it.
Chat telling us Ice Palace is the other red crystal, and since we knew Swamp was the green pendant
Swamp.
from Sahasrara.
That's pretty much everything. That's kind of a rough one. I mean, Swamp and Pod being two of the item densest dungeons we have. But of course, you hope you don't have to ever go there. Oh, Rayvis going for the Hera pot and getting it. Gonna catch up a little bit of time here doing that.
Yeah, if you can nail that Hera pot setup, it is a little bit faster than actually walking up the tower. I haven't gotten to that point yet. And if, for those of you who maybe not know that Hera pot glitch yet, it's this weird double pixel perfect bomb setup that will just clip you one pixel into that pot, and then you can hookshot your way in and fall down the hole, go through that teleporter that you just saw, and then you wind up on the almost top floor of the tower.
Yeah, there's setups both with and without boots. It's supposed to be easier with the boots, since they have both boots and hookshot.
Yeah, because you have to be facing right in a very particular position, so you can use a dash turn to get yourself facing the right direction if you have the boots.
Oh, and interesting. As you're going to go ahead and check Spike Cave. A pretty decent time to do it. He's got a cane. He's got the blue cane that should be able to get him through. It's like Rayvis doing the same thing. A little bit of bonk first, but that's okay.
Yeah, it seems like our runners just got a little bit suspicious of why they got that blue cane right away, but
Yeah.
just a heart container at the end of it.
Which, you know, at this point, they're still pretty low on health. Having another heart container is not a bad thing, but again, not what they're looking for. Okay, as you're going to start on the southern part of the Dark World, let's see where Rayvis heads to.
And I mean, Moldorm just gave them that spiffy new magic refill, so, you know, it'd be rude not to use it.
Yeah, there you go. It's like Rayvis also going to check the southern part first, so we're going to see what our hype cave is for today. Is it a hype or a not so hype? As you're using his last bomb to get in there, but we're now at the point where we don't need so many bombs. Oh, a tempered sword and red mail. So nothing progressive there, but definitely a couple of nice luxuries. Again, that tempered sword is going to be nice for Okay, Rayvis is not going to check hype game.
He missed with his next to the last bomb, so he couldn't get all the way in. But fortunately, there's a bomb shop right here.
Yeah, I'm just curious why he didn't just use the bomb. I mean, you could go back and buy them anyway, but you know that's okay. You'll have lots of bombs now. Azure doesn't. Although in most of these seeds, that's usually not a problem.
As you're showing us Cave 45 here, this is where I really like this starting in Hype Cave and going across. When you have Mirror, you can sort of clear out everything here in the Dark World on your way to the village.
And with that Mirror, they can even continue on.
Yeah, it does make the routing a little bit less efficient later if you do the purple chest stuff, if you have to do that without the flute, but since they don't even have mitts yet, I think they're not really trying to plan too far ahead for that.
Now let's see what we got in the digging game. Now just some arrows, not going to pick those up. But you can see as you're opening up a bit of a lead, the longer this seed stays linear like this, the worse it's going to be for Rayvis, because as you can see, the execution in general from Azure is just a little bit stronger, and you know every little bit he's getting a bit more of a lead. I think we're going to get our first look at Village of Outcasts. Probably a trip into Thieves Town, since they can full clear that. Might get a dip into Skull Woods. We can't full clear that yet. No Fire Rod. And of course, without the mitts, you have to go do this the long way.
Yeah, which is always annoying. The south to north routing is nice, though, because then it lets you bring in Graveyard Ledge and King's Tomb in a much more natural way.
Yep.
Feels a lot less out of the way if you are heading in this direction already.
And it has your remember, oh yeah, I have no bombs, I can't open that yet. So he'll probably have to do that after he does Thieves. Pretty likely, in fact, guaranteed he's going to get some bombs in Thieves. There's a few places they force them on you. The game is pretty good about making sure you have the right items in the intended spots. Of course, when we start randomizing everything and randomizing prize packs for the enemy drops, that all changes. Ooh, and already the small key, so it's a good thing that they do have the hammer, so they don't have to worry about that leaving that big chest behind. Ideally, you want the small key in the big chest, so you can just skip that spot entirely. Okay, Rayvis gonna see what's in here. Not going to make a huge difference for Thieves Town, but it's going to be something he's going to have ahead of Azder. And just some more rupees, so not a big deal. And pretty much nothing in the front of Thieves. But the back of Thieves, such a linear area. Not too... You're going to be checking all these areas anyway. It is a crystal, so you do have to finish it.
Yeah, go mode in Thieves Town is not really something you can think about seriously, so not much of a reason not to hit it all right now.
Yeah, I know. It was unfortunate in the open weekly last night, we had a ice rod on Ped, which meant go mode Thieves Town, which was pretty much regular Thieves Town except skipping the big chest. So go mode Thieves Town, not a thing really. Okay, so here's what I was talking about. These 2 skulls will give you bombs, so... And the chest gives us bombs, which of course wasn't... Actually, I believe in the vanilla game that is the case, but of course here it's not. So Azure 2 will be able to pick up those 20 rupees in the bombable hut. For all the good it does him.
Yeah, at this point, about the only thing they're going to spend rupees on is Kiki the monkey, which he's got enough for already.
Yeah, and hopefully you don't even have to do that since that's a pendant, but it could happen. Having not seen the bow yet, probably not going to go there anytime soon.
Although I'm trying to think, if this comes up dry, our runners don't really have a lot of other options besides dipping Pod and Eastern without that bow.
I'm thinking maybe doing those North Dark World checks since they have the mirror, and they can do Graveyard Ledge, they can do the King's Tomb, they can do Catfish on the way to Pod if they want to. And the one nice thing is, since even though they do have a potion for the potion glitch in Pod, so that might be a thing that they do if they decide to dip it. Which is interesting because the progressive bows in V31 make that a much stronger play in general. Maybe not so much here with it being a pendant, but in the past you couldn't have a bow behind that. Now you can. And I've seen several seeds where there's a bow behind that potion glitch.
Yeah, and the routing works out really nicely, assuming both of these runners know how to do the bomb jump fake flipper across the north side of the river, which I assume they do, runners of this caliber. That sort of transitioning from Graveyard Ledge into that Eastern Dark World stuff routes really well.
Exactly. Okay, so we didn't really get anything in Thieves Town. Oof. As you're going to find those 20 rupees here. Rayvis into his blind fight. Nicely follows the script, no problem there. Each runner's now with 2 crystals. Okay, as you're going to go ahead and dip Skull Woods. We'll see if Rayvis does that or if he decides to go do those North Dark World checks like we talked about.
Azure does find a key in that first chest in Skull Woods, so we can check this more or less the normal way.
And we're going to check the item here. Just get another key. Gonna head over to the pinball room, which previously always had a key, but in V31 it can now have an item. And it does have the map, which is kind of an item. Okay, Rayvis checked that bumper ledge so quickly I did not see it.
I think just a big 20 up there.
Azure gonna bomb jump over to the big chest. And with that last bomb, he makes it over. And just gets another key for his troubles. He can check one more item. Oh, and there are those flippers.
Yeah, interesting. Flippers opened up right out of the boots on Death Mountain, so maybe the logic doesn't even think we should be in the Dark World just yet. It does interestingly put the that last sword back in logic, so
Yep.
anybody was worried about that.
And it will make their lives easier. They won't have to go ahead and just a compass. So nothing in the front of it. Looks like everything is in the back of Skullwoods. And our bow. Honestly, I'm not sure that's the item you want to find at this point. Because that just says go to Pod, go to Eastern and get those pendants. It's not not even the green pendant.
Or you could follow those flippers into Swamp. You know, it's your choice.
Yeah, another pendant. But Rayvis creating some of that route divergence we talked about earlier.
Yeah, and
might
clearly
give him a bit of an edge here.
Yeah, definitely making the right call on that Skull Wood skip. That is always sort of a toss-up, but just ate up a lot of Azder's time, unfortunately. So Rayvis is ahead on getting to the East Dark World area, but with all these pendant dungeons open in front of us, that creates some more opportunities for routing divergence.
Yeah, and with those being open and pretty much the other ones not being open. Pretty much right now we need the fire rod and the ice rod, of course. We need some mitts, really. That gets us into pretty much all our dungeons. Of course, we need the fire rod to finish up Skullwoods. Need a fire and ice for TR plus a red cane. So still missing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, this is interesting now, though, that Rayvis has not yet been back to the dam. So he does not have that Bombos medallion, which, if we need that to get into Ice Palace pretty soon, if we do find those mitts, will be an advantage that Azder has.
Or if it opens up one of the last two dungeons.
So, of course, that'll be an easy check for Rayvis to make if he does head over to Swamp, but I think we're going to see the bow-locked stuff before that, so...
Yeah, it's a tough call. I mean, Swamp being the green pendant has 6 checks plus that green pendant. Pod has 5 items, Eastern 3, so it's a little higher item density there, but not by much.
That's interesting. Rayvis did not walk over to the pyramid to check what was on the pyramid ledge.
Yeah, I think it's better to do that ahead of time. That way you can just save and quit right after you do whatever dungeons you choose to do. But, not that big a deal. And we do end up paying Kiki the money.
So I've heard an interesting argument for Pendant Swamp, that once you have all the items to get into the swamp, there's just so much required to get in there that a lot of times that's actually a signal that there's progression in there, and that's why the seed gave you all of these items. Now, in this case, we needed the hookshot and the hammer for some other stuff, but the flippers might be a signal that that Swamp is important right now. I don't know.
Yeah, so we're getting the bow and the flippers at the same time makes that really interesting, because Rayvis is taking the bow as a signal to do Eastern Pod, and it sure looks like Azur's going to follow those flippers to Swamp. And right now, there really isn't we don't know what the right answer is. In Randomizer, there really isn't a right or a wrong answer. It's just, you got to make a decision based on the information you have, and maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. The one advantage here, though, if Azure does full clear this, he'll have that green pendant. You can actually do the green pendant check at the same time as he goes over to the eastern area. And of course, Pod, having all those keys in the front, has to be at least 4 keys in the front. So it's gonna be a while before, it could be a while before Rayvis actually finds anything. Whereas Azure might get something in the first chest here. Ooh, and an ice rod. So we are gonna need to at least dip Pod. But it's not progression, so there's no reason to leave at this point.
Yeah, it definitely makes you feel better about this play, though, because you know your opponent's going to have to come here eventually, and they're probably going to wind up clearing the whole thing as well. So you know you're not losing any time out of this.
Well, at least not as much time. I mean, because if he full clears this, and if Ice Rod ends up being Azure's go mode item or something like that, it is going to be just get in there, get that Ice Rod, and Azure finding a flute. And it's just looks like he's. Is he gonna leave? He's grabbed the mirror. Okay, he's gonna go a little bit further.
Yeah, the flute by itself doesn't really open up anything else that we didn't have already.
Yeah, because we don't have no mitts, so he's probably thinking about it and just realized, yeah, I can get places now. But so both of these dungeons going to end up being required at some point. I'd say advantage Azure with the flute because of the movement. Because that ice rod, I mean, you hate to have to search for that ice rod, absolutely, but that flute will get him the movement that he needs.
Yeah, so interesting that both runners are going to feel pretty okay about their choice here, since they both found required items. But we'll see how it all shakes out.
And a book, which might be required for desert. Might not need that. Depends on whether or not we get depends on when we get the mitts, really. Okay, as you're going to go ahead and go straight to the back of Swamp here. I don't believe I've seen a map or a compass, so he's hoping not even for the left side to not even be of any interest. And I suspect he won't go back in for the left side. Just go ahead and get that green pendant, head over to the Pod Eastern area, and turn in the green pendant and hit Pod in Eastern. As you see a container heart on Rayvis' side.
Unlucky
there's that map. There's that map. So there is going to be an item on the left side. I don't think he's going to go back for it, though.
Yeah, and Rayvis also found the map in the big chest of Pod, which means Helmosaur is sitting on an item also. But looks like Rayvis.
Go for it.
Yeah, Rayvis is going to chase that book over to Desert Palace, which is definitely an understandable play since that's a crystal.
Yep, I like that choice.
And he can. Did he forget about that Bombos check at the dam, or
still hasn't gone for it? Maybe he forgot he didn't do it because it's so common to do it. Doesn't look like he's gonna check Agina either. Usually this is when you do it, when you're going over to desert.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people check it on the way out, since you can just jump down off the ledge and then save and quit out of Agina rather than having to run back out. So
yeah, that's a good point. And just rupees at Argus, but we do get a green pendant. So there's only one item left on the left side. So yeah, I suspect Azure's going to take that green pendant straight over to Sarasala and then do those checks in Eastern and Pod. Hopefully he does that the Pod check first and picks up his ice rod in his book.
Ooh, Azder is going back in for that last item on the left side.
That really surprises me.
Rayvis, meanwhile, found Quake in Desert Palace.
So we have all 3 medallions between the 2 runners. And I can't imagine Azure's going to miss that. It might be a longer time before Rayvis gets back to that Bombos. And if that fire rod is deeply hidden, that Bombos could could matter. Like you said, he needs it for Ice Palace if we don't find that Fire Rod soon. If we don't find the Fire Rod before the mitts, I should say. Wait. Why are we saving and quitting?
So, I think... So, Rayvis found both items.
Yeah,
so,
okay. Oh, just gonna... Yeah, okay. So just gonna do Land Molus when he does Meyer, I guess.
Yeah, that seems to be the plan. Just sort of in the boss rush at the end of the siege there. Is probably interested in finding where his progression is going to come from next.
I think that's a reasonable call. I like that a little bit better than this left side check, but this could pay off still.
One other public service announcement I want to make here, since azder did just get the green pendant. I did not think about this until very recently, but when the randomizer generates the seed, it actually chooses the dungeon prizes first and then starts placing items.
Okay.
So if you try and read into the seed and say, oh, well, the seed gave me a red crystal on Eastern and Desert, so Pyramid Fairy must be really good, that's not necessarily true.
But it could be something. Okay, and just a piece of heart on the left side, so that was a bit of a waste of time for azder. Probably not feeling good about that decision.
Yeah, that left side is always sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? Because it...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, just makes you feel terrible if you skip it and worried about it the whole seed, but...
Okay, azder is gonna head over to Pod, so he will get his Ice Rod, and hopefully he doesn't dip out right after that. He probably won't. I mean, again, Ice Rod doesn't get you anything right away. And let's see if this green pendant turns out to be anything. Because he will turn that in on his way. I suspect Rayvis is also going to go ahead and kill Argus. The question is whether he will also do the left side or not. And just a piece of heart. So pretty much all we got in Swamp was that flute right at the beginning. Which is a bit of a shame, since both runners are going to full clear, minus Rayvis possibly not doing the left side. So, question: we don't know where mitts are yet. That's the big item we need. We also need Fire Rod and Cane. That'll give us go mode with those 3 items. For azder, he's best off if he finds those mitts. If he finds those mitts before Rayvis does, before the Fire Rod and the Cane, because he can do Ice Palace. I would say, but mitts go mode is kind of a nice thing because there are a whole lot of chests with those mitts that you can now skip because it's your go mode item.
Yeah, let's think about where our next progression could be, I guess. We have not seen any of Eastern Palace. There is that Bombos tablet that you have to think Rayvis is going to check on his way out of Swamp, since he already has the book. Agina's Cave, which Rayvis intentionally or not skipped while he was in the desert area. And Pyramid Ledge? Any place else I'm missing?
I think those are the locations. It'll be interesting to see if azder chooses to full clear this. He will have, we do have one more item in Helmasaur, so we'll see if he decides to full clear this. He might, I mean, because that gives him all 3 pendants, and if this turns out to be a Ped seed, that actually puts him at a pretty good advantage. On the other hand, betting on Ped, this early, that's a rough thing.
Yeah, I would bet what we're going to see azder do is clear everything but Helmasaur and then do all of Eastern. Since you can just mirror and head right back into the Dark World, you don't want to make that trek to Helmasaur if you don't have to.
Oh, absolutely. But the nice thing is, I mean, aside from getting over here, that's the time sink. He could getting back to the end of this dungeon. It's a very non-linear dungeon, so getting back to Helmasaur if you come back later is very quick. It's just getting back to the dungeon itself that takes a while. And yeah, chat talking about mitts can be ped. Yeah, absolutely. That absolutely is a possibility.
We saw Rayvis, by the way, get through about 2/3 of a 0 cycle on Argus there, just missing the timing. That is so hard to get all of those hook shots timed exactly right, but pretty quick Argus fight with that butter sword.
And looks like he's gonna check the Bombos tablet.
Oh, maybe he was galaxy braining this one, and he knew he was going to come back to Bombo's tablet anyway,
Yeah.
and he'll hit a Gina right now.
Yep, could be. Oh, and there are myths. So that it opens up, potentially opens up. He did finally pick up that Bombo, so he's good there. So that opens up Ice Palace. It potentially opens up Mire. Well, it does open up Mire, but you can only get 2 items. You can't finish it. Oh, and there's the Fire Rod. Oh, boy. Okay, so as you're going to check this area first, pretty standard. He really needs to get that book and leave as soon as he gets it, not bother with Eastern or Pod. Rayvis now only a cane away from go mode.
Yeah, this is going to be the big decision for azder, is if he decides to chase this book, because that is definitely the way to go. And Rayvis, even though Pod and Swamp were not the answer by themselves, just the way that Rayvis chose to route this worked out so much better that he had book when he was in the area to go to that Bombos tablet.
Mm-hmm. Good news here, azder is going to go ahead and save and quit. He's going to take that flute and flute out of here. He will probably do Desert and Mire kind of together to some extent, although without the cane, maybe not. We'll see. But he's going to go ahead and activate that flute first. I like that. That'll make his movement that much better. And Rayvis is going to go head towards Skull Woods with that Fire Rod. That makes a lot of sense. He hasn't checked all of this yet, and he's not in go mode. So for all he knows, the cane can be here. So he is going to probably make these checks. Question is, if he does the back first, he might not have to, because if I'm not mistaken, there was nothing in the front.
Yeah, I think he's going to get the God Skull Woods here if he goes from back to front, which is usually what you do when you're this close to go mode.
Oh, especially when you have that Fire Rod. But no, he's going into the first room here. This is I don't like this. You have the Fire Rod, even not knowing, by going this way first, by having the Fire Rod, you can clear the end of it. And even if you don't get the items, I don't think you're losing time by doing that first. Whereas if you do the front first and there's nothing there, as we know there isn't, then you're losing time. So I don't like this choice at all. azder, meanwhile, going to go ahead and do Desert before doing Mire, which is good, because he doesn't have cane anyway. We'll see if he finishes it all off, or if he does like Rayvis does and doesn't do the back of it. Picks up his Quake, so he now knows he doesn't have to worry about medallions.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous for azder, though, because I feel like he's going to pretty well isolate this Bombos tablet check.
Yeah, that could be pretty bad if he does that. But, you know, he's following the book into the desert, so maybe he's going to follow the book into the Bombos tablet afterwards. And going into Mire without cane is never desirable. So even, of course, he can't do that. So there aren't that many checks left for him. Like he can't do Skull Woods because he doesn't have the Fire Rod. His other choice is pretty much Eastern. And if he were going to do Eastern, he would have already done it. So I think he's going to hit that Bombos pretty soon. Double checking his situation for pendants and crystals. Is going to finish East Desert later. Okay, where are you going, azder? Oh, he's going to check Ether first. Okay, that's reasonable. Maybe that'll be his cane. That's the only thing he can get up there that would be useful. But it does say he's following the book, so I suspect he'll do this and then hit the Bombos tablet.
Yeah, and again, fluting away without a Gina, but he also might be thinking ahead to that Bombos tablet check.
Yep, absolutely. If this is Kane, that's pretty good. That'll make the Mitz Fire Rod combination his go mode. And it's just bombs. So we'll get a save and quit. No, we just don't get a save. We get a flute. So let's see if he flutes to 7. Or to 4. This is fine. This will get him. This is actually probably closer for the going. He's going to go to Bombos. He's heading to the Dark World portal. He'll get his Bombos. He'll get his Fire Rod.
Meanwhile, Rayvis getting everyone's favorite fetch quest off of Mothula.
Yeah, Mushroom not so bad when you have flute. Okay, also can check Ped here. I think that's a good plan. Might as well find out now if that one last item is there. And it's just arrows, so no Ped today. Azure, meanwhile, getting his mitts.
And Chad is very sad.
Chad's always sad when there's no Ped. The runners won't be sad. Rayvis gonna turn in that mushroom immediately. Azure getting his Fire Rod. And just bombs at the mushroom.
And now the Red Cane hunt is on, so our runners fairly close to each other. Rayvis definitely has a bit of an advantage since he got his Fire Rod and mitts a little bit sooner than Azder did.
But that advantage is going to be a little bit lost here because he's going to go, well, he's going to do the Dark Death Mountain checks. This was a big spot in the last match where just about everything they needed was here. Now, of course, they only need one item. So I like that Asher's going to go finish up Skullwoods. He knows that the items are all in the back. He's just going to be able to go there. With all these items here, we'll see if there's anything if that cane shows up at all. And if it does, he can go straight out into Turtle Rock right now.
Yeah, that's definitely what he's hoping for. And then the Go Mode Ice Palace that we all love.
Yeah, Ice Palace Go Mode is so much nicer than regular Ice Palace. And let's see what Hookshot Cave has for us. Money. Piece of heart. A big shield. Oh, and there's that cane. Oh, boy. So the question is for Azure, is he going to go do that Dark Death Mountain check first, or is he going to do that Ice Palace check first? If he goes Dark Death Mountain first, he's got a good shot at this. If he goes Ice Palace first, that's less. And here, you know, I kind of don't like this. I mean, you're there, you might as well just go do Turtle Rock now and come back for Ice. I mean, with Flute, it doesn't make a huge difference, but you're already up the mountain.
Yeah, I guess maybe his thinking is that he'll finish Turtle Rock and then have the health and magic refill, as opposed
to GT.
Yeah, any damage you might take from cabbages climbing on your way to GT. It's probably not a huge difference, but
yeah, with a Flute, it's not a huge difference at all. As you're gonna check this item first, he's gonna need to check it anyway. He knows there's 2 items back here. Sees it's not the cane he's looking for. And then it's going to be a matter of if Azure does make the right call and goes, he's going to check Ped now too before doing Mothula.
Yeah, this is why Rando is such a hard game to me, because you know you should always clear crystal dungeons whenever you can, except when you shouldn't, right?
Yeah.
Like, item density versus dungeon play is sort of a toss-up here, and item density is the way to go in this case.
Did I miss him clearing out Mothula?
Yeah, it went real fast with the gold sword, as it turns out.
Okay. Because it's not marked on the tracker yet, and I didn't see him do. I was watching what Rayvis was doing on the right side.
Pulling out the flute again, moment of truth.
Oh, he's going to Mire. That's not good. Kane's not going to be here. He's going to double dip Mire. It's a reasonable choice.
Yeah, he might not go into Mire right now. He might just be checking the shed and the checkerboard cave.
Yeah,
but
perhaps.
either way, these are checks that Rayvis didn't make, so they're definitely slowing him down a little bit. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, he is gonna. Okay, this isn't so bad. They do both have to finish Desert. He's just gonna go ahead and do that now. But still, probably gonna be checking a little more here than Rayvis is going to. And at this point, execution can only get you so much for catching up. He's gonna have to do, I think, a little bit more. He's gonna have to get himself up to that Dark Death Mountain area. Fortunately, this part is not really a time waste. He's gonna have to do it anyway. Both of them are gonna have to do this anyway. And as you can see, Ice Palace just being so quick when you don't have to full clear it.
And a very clean Cold Stare fight. Does not let those puffs get out of the corner with that butter sword. Very nicely done. And a one-cycle Landmo on Azder's side as well. Also making good use of that gold sword.
I love the impatience of the flutes when you're in go mode. Okay, Azure, where are you headed now? Okay, he's gonna head back to the Dark World. He's going to at least check Checkerboard Cave. Hopefully he does not go into Mire without that red cane. Okay, pulls out the flute. That says he's not going to go into Mire yet. This will give him the chance that he needs if he goes ahead and checks that. Or he's going to Ice first. That's the worst. That is the worst case scenario here. He's going to full clear Ice unnecessarily. And not going to find that cane. Nope. Whoa, changing his mind? Okay, going to Dark Death Mountain. And honestly, this makes a lot of sense because in terms of go mode cane, Ice Palace could require by logic that you have the cane. I did not see what the drop was there on Cold Stare, but if that drop had been a key, then that is by logic required that you have the cane there, which makes it a little less likely you're going to find it there.
Yeah, I believe it actually was a key when Rayvis beat Cold Stare. So, yeah, these are the sort of decisions you need to make in Rando, and little things like that can kind of tip the probabilities one way or the other.
Yeah, and to be clear, even without the bomb jump, you can actually full clear a cane-locked Ice Palace if you use your small keys properly. But everybody here knows how to do the bomb jump, so that's not even an issue. Like, I know how to do the bomb jump, so... And it'll be interesting to see what order Azure decides to do his dungeons in. but a dungeon and a half behind. This is going to be hard for him to catch up at this point, but he does have the execution edge, so this is not over yet.
Yes, but Rayvis has found his big key, so he is headed down toward Vitreous right now.
Ash, you're going to go ahead and do Mire first, and then he'll do Ice.
Rayvis showing off the spooky action glitch there. The fire rod splash damage is a little messed up right now, so it's hitting switches from far away.
Yeah, don't ask me to explain how that works. I know it's along the lines of the splash deletion stuff, but
something Ancilla slot something.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
the best I got. So that is 5 crystals for Rayvis. Desert Palace is going to be pretty fast after this one. Did make use of his safeties there in that Vitreous fight.
Yeah, not a whole lot to do in Desert here. As you're picking up, heading on to the back, pick up his big key. Rayvis heading on to the back of Desert.
That was very clean from Rayvis there, getting that fire rod dash off and then nudging off of the torch to get to the door to the Lanmo room just a few frames faster.
Almost had the one round there. One more shot. There it is.
Confidently switching to the flute while releasing that last spin.
With Gold Sword, Azure's going to make very quick work of this. Meanwhile, Rayvis is going to head over to Turtle Rock. Go mode Turtle Rock, not really necessarily that different than regular Turtle Rock. Depending on the key layout, you might be able to do a few little things to skip keys. Of course, Rayvis got burned in Game 1 trying to steal the key from the where the big key chest area is and got burnt by it. Had to go back and pick up the other small key in the big chest after there were no keys on Laser Bridge.
But that
pretty rarely happens.
It drives me crazy when runners steal the key and then skip the big chest, because that is entirely possible. that you get small keys in both of those, and then you wind up stuck on Laser Bridge.
Yep. And you know, the thing is, if you choose not to do that and the keys are there, then you just get to skip Laser Bridge, which is a really nice thing.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it makes more sense if you're good at laser skips, which I am not, so...
Well, we'll see if he goes for it this time after having it burn him in that first game. And oh, by the way, while we have a moment, as we see 2 Gomo dungeons as best as they can, we'll remind you all to follow these runners, follow my co-commentator, and definitely want to shout out our tracker, Ricky of Kokiri. Ricky, thank you for doing the tracking for us, leaving us to be able to talk about this.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, if you have enjoyed this wonderful rando race, keep your eyes on the Speed Gaming networks as well, and the rest of this tournament. There have been some incredibly good races and incredibly good matches so far, even in round 1 of this tournament. So I'm excited for what the rest of this tournament is going to give us.
It's kind of nice to be able to turn on Twitch and almost always be able to find a Link to the Past randomizer match going on.
Meanwhile, 3 keys in the very front of Turtle Rock for Rayvis.
Meanwhile, Azure going to go ahead into his Cold Stare fight. Also with the Gold Sword, shouldn't take him very long.
And of course, Rayvis cannot steal the key since the big key will be right here in its vanilla location.
It's almost better that way. I mean, as much as you want to be able to do a little more of a go mode in Turtle Rock, you know your opponent is going to be doing the same thing, and so now this way, the decision's kind of taken out of your hands. You don't have to worry about it as much. Still, you could decide to skip the big chest. And this time it's not.
Yeah, now with only 1 key left in the dungeon, you have to be sure that you find it, so... So I was going to say, I feel like Rayvis probably feels pretty good about the way he ran this seed. About the only thing he did that was unnecessary was full clearing all of Pod, but you had to go into it pretty far to get that book out of it. So
I would say they're pretty even on Pod. The fact that he went there first and had that book and was able to go over to Swamp, or was able to go get that Bombos after Swamp. The real unnecessary thing was they both went and full cleared Swamp, where the only thing they actually needed was right there in that first chest was that flute. But the fact that he had, I think if Azure had the Bombos, the book, I think he checks Bombos instead of going to the left side of Swamp, and that, I think, was one of the big differences that's given Rayvis this lead right now. Just getting to that Bombos tablet first.
But these runners are definitely close enough that differences in Ganon's tower routing could make a big difference. I've already seen a couple of times in this tournament where runners went different ways and one of them found silvers and the other didn't. So
yeah, there's that aspect of just how quickly you even get to that big key. I did a race a couple days ago, Aussie versus Chloe Prower, where not only did Aussie get to the big key a lot faster, even though Chloe got in there first, Chloe had a little less health going up the tower and had to stop and pick up those fairies. And as he's picking up those fairies, Aussie just ran right by him. So, you know, little things like that can make a difference. Because we have both runners in Turtle Rock right now.
Rayvis was trying to show off those cane dash strats, but was going a little bit too fast and bonked into an orange and blue switch before it went back down, but making fast work of Trinex.
Very nice. Well, that gold sword on Trinex, there aren't too many places where it makes a huge difference, but it definitely makes a difference here.
Has the hook shot out for the hook speed coming out of Turtle Rock, but meanwhile, that is Rayvis' 7th crystal, and you know what that means, chat. It is time for the GT Big Key guessing game. Give us your favorite positive integer, less than 23, and hope that that is the number of checks that it will take before the runner finds the Ganon's Tower Big Key.
Yeah, I do believe we still have the bot broken, but we can at least do the game.
And get those guesses in fast, because it is not going to take Rayvis long to open up GT. So, Shopvac Boy, I will promise I will stop making math jokes when chat stops doing stupid stuff like guessing negative numbers and pi for the Big Key guessing game. So
I personally don't mind negative numbers and pi. Okay, so we've already checked the torch. Didn't do the hope route, so this will be interesting. See if he does. He might mirror out of this. We'll do the Dark Magician strats. We'll see. Oh, and there it is. That was number 4? Yeah.
Looks like Shady Force Games with the 5th guess was the first person to guess number 4 there. So
congratulations to Shady Force Games. You get the honor of knowing you guessed right. And
also,
not much else.
Also a lifetime supply of rando seeds.
Oh, absolutely. Gotta have that. Very good chance we're not going to find those silvers at that point. Who knows at this point? Who knows where they are?
And you have to think this will be pretty smooth sailing for Rayvis. I don't want to curse him, but with Gold Sword and Red Mail and a decent amount of health. Ooh, nice quick Fire Rod strats through that second room of the gauntlet.
Yeah, is gonna have to do Silverless, but shouldn't be any problem. Anyone, if you can't do Silverless, what are you doing in the top 128? So. Oh, there's that landwall fight he was looking for earlier on, and this time he gets it in one round. Very nicely done.
A bit low on magic heading into this torch room, but just have to resort to lamp strats.
Yeah, I think most people use the lamp except the last one. And he should have enough with that refill there under the pot. Will want to pick up the full magic decanter in this room, though. Like I said, the game has a tendency to give you the things you need when you need them. In the context of running this with in a normal NMG style. Not gonna check these chests up top.
Never really stopped me from running out of magic in Turtle Rock as a kid, but...
What, you didn't buy 4 bottles before going there?
Once I knew where all the bottles were, I did.
Oh, there you go.
And looks like about a 4-minute difference between when Rayvis entered Ganon's tower and when azder did. And as fast as he found the big key.
Yeah.
He does not look like he's given up any of that lead.
And azder's gonna find the big key just as fast doing the same route. Oh yeah, at 121, how about a shovel fetch quest?
Two doubles so far in this Aga 2 fight.
Very nicely done. And we'll head on to Ganon. Alright, so the first 2 rounds can be super easy. Gold sword, only 6 slashes each round. Actually, it's the first 3 rounds. We'll have to do the 12 spins for the last stage, since we don't have silvers. I do believe he still has that bottle of blue gotten way, way, way at the beginning of the race.
I think he might have used that in the Vitreous fight. I'm not sure.
Oh, did he? Okay. As I was gonna say, gonna want to get that torch glitch. Well, not absolutely. With this amount of magic, probably absolutely needed. In general, not necessarily needed. Just makes your life a lot easier if you get it.
Yeah, you saw him spamming those lamp shots to make sure he got that torch glitch.
Yeah, really important. The little bit of magic you use up by doing that spam is probably more important, or less important, the amount you would lose if you had to go ahead and hit both torches every single time to do these sword spins.
Yeah, and setting up nicely, got a triple in the last cycle, and is in line to get one here as well. I think that's 10 hits so far, if I'm counting right.
I'm bad at counting. But there he is, goes down, just needs to cross that bridge. And GG to Rayvis. bit of an upset here. I'm going to move on into the brackets. Azure will still alive. He will have to face the winner of Lunchtime versus Spleeby. Azure having already beaten Spleeby, so we'll see if there's going to be a rematch there or if he's going to face a new opponent. Meanwhile, Azure going to finish going up the tower.
Yeah, we have an official SRL time of 1:24:48 for Rayvis, and really good run.
Yeah, a couple of really nice choices that really made the difference. I think going into the pod before Swamp, not quite finishing, not going back to the left side of Swamp, having that book to check Bombo's tablet when he was over there just made a huge difference, I think. Because up to that point, until I even said it right about that point where they went to that little bit of route divergence. That he needed to create that route divergence between Azure, because if they go the exact same route, he's not going to win. But he did create that route divergence, and it made the difference. And let's bring him in now. Okay, GG Rayvis.
GG.
So we're getting close to finish here with Azure in the Aga 2 fight. Now, what do you want to say about that seed so far?
Before I come to the seed, I want to say at the start of the race and from Turtle Rock going on to the end of the game, I had such a high input delay. Like I had so many bonks in this game. Holy smokes! I was very much worried and hard, but if you have like almost a second delay for no reason and you don't know when it's gonna come back, that's making it a little sweaty, but it worked out in the end, so I'm not gonna bother with that too long. But the seed, I think, was pretty good, and I'm absolutely happy that I went pod before Swamp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and congratulations, gonna move on to the brackets. So going in, you were the 3 seed in the group. What were your expectations? I mean, does this exceed your expectation a little bit, or did you say, third seed, no problem, I can get through this?
Well, I would never say no problem when potentially one of the best, or like 128 people out of I don't know how many are attending the tournament, and everybody knows Azder, aka Mr. Lunchtime is also a very known person. I messed up at last qualifiers. Best I can in my bombos 4 times.
Oh god.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Yeah, that first match you guys had with that Bombos location was pretty bad.
It was okay for me, but I just messed up in the row. No, but seriously, I hope to be higher seeded than in the third quartile, was it called, right? And I had 3 great races at the start, and then the last location hype trained at the end for like 6 races. And then I fell down even more, and I was like, well, just play to stay in practice. It doesn't matter which quartile you have. I mean, if I should win my first match anyway, or not, doesn't matter. I would have to play against strong people in any case. So going into that group was like, okay, Lunchtime is a pretty strong opponent. I mean, led by both fellow Germans. We know each other, and this was a tough match. And I knew even if I'm gonna win, Spleeby and Azder are both great people. And when Azder came through, I was like, okay, so I'm walking from end boss to end boss, basically. All right, that's fair. I guess this is the main tournament.
All right, Azure finishing up with an official SRL time of 1:28:48. Wow, exactly 4 minutes behind. So GG's to Azure.
GG Azder. These mids could have been really, really bad.
Yeah, it was really just sort of unlucky routing for Azder. He went to Swamp first, and so didn't have the book the first time he was in the area, where Pod before Swamp was the much more efficient route, as it turned out.
I think is probably why he did check the left side of. It surprised me a little bit that he did that. He did check the left side of Swamp, which cost him quite a bit of time, I think. That alone, I don't think was the issue, but that certainly didn't help. you both end up full clearing Skull Woods. And not that he did it before doing the North Dark Bowl checks. I was a little surprised that when you went to Skull Woods that you decided to full clear it, because at that point you could have gone straight to the back.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, just check the first chest, and I saw the key, and I was like, come on. In the end, the Samaria will be here, so whatever. And then both items fire out. I was like, okay, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, and welcome in Azder, GG.
GG.
So yeah, so we were just talking about the big. Oh, there he is. Okay, the big
Sorry about
difference. No problem. So you were ahead early on, and we're starting to strengthen that lead. And we had mentioned on stream that Rayvis needed to create some route divergence. And you went to Skull Woods. He did the North Dark Bowl checks. That ended up being a bit of a wash, the Skull Woods part, because he ended up full clearing it later on. But he went to Pod first and had that book after finishing Swamp. Didn't go to the left side and was able to go straight to his Mitts and Fire Rod. Whereas you went to Swamp first. Not a wrong decision either way. It just turned out to work a little bit better for him. But yeah, so otherwise, what do you think about this one?
I think it kind of dragged at the start. No, maybe not the. I don't know. It kind of dragged a lot until midway through. That's pretty late, and getting flippers and bow at the same time was kind of. It was a big toss up on where to go, but I felt like Swamp was the play.
Yeah, reasonable decision.
Because I bailed on the Pendant Eastern already, and the flippers were for sure blocking Swamp, all of Swamp, but the bow wasn't for sure locking very much of Pod. And I don't even think that book was bow locked.
It wasn't.
Yeah, it wasn't, was it?
No,
I don't think so.
I was scared because there was nothing bow locked, and I was thinking about doing Pod, and then if nothing is on Hammer, then I obviously commit to Eastern, and then I obviously commit to Swamp, which would have probably made the skip.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Swamp only had the flute for you. It was in the first chest, and reasonably, neither one of you left after that, because at the time, the flute didn't open anything new.
Oh, I see. But I guess I did left side and he didn't.
Yeah, I didn't do left side. I mean, that's probably like 1.5 or 2 minutes at least.
Yeah, and the only other major difference is, Azure, you checked the mire area before heading up to Death Mountain. Also completely reasonable. Thankfully, you didn't go into mire.
I forgot about the mire shed. I went up the mountain and I was like, oh no, wait. I don't need to check medallions, but I still need Samaria. That's why I'm actually here. Why did I not check actually next to mire? And then I was already in despair, and the last chest in Hookshot Cave bailed me.
Yeah, that Hookshot Cave pretty big in the last couple of games.
Yeah, I think I played this more conservatively because I felt like I kind of underestimated how far ahead I would be on execution. So that was why I did left side Swamp at least, but that wasn't the entire difference.
No, it wasn't.
I mean, so routing wise, I wasn't actually not too progressive so hard. I was kind of conservative as well, but I think my overall gameplay from like minute 25 to like, let's say 1 hour and 10 was quite good. Okay, here a bonk, there a bonk, whatever. But before and after is like input delay. That sometimes can be tough. So, but I would totally give you the edge on execution. I mean, you're playing longer than me. You got a 5 bazillion times better NMG times than me, and you just have more experience. So, I'm lucky and I'm happy that I could win. But this is not something that would be 10 out of 10 for sure. Not even close.
Yeah, so Azure, you're not out of the tournament, so you'll be facing the winner of the Spleeby versus Lunchtime matchup. So what do you think about that coming up?
I was more afraid of Lunchtime going into this matchup, or what I thought this matchup was going to be. So looks like I am still going to have to deal with that, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows me, feels bad, man.
Well, they know you now.
Well, there are some people trolling me all around. I met a couple of them at SG Live, and well, when you're landing in the US and you're getting greeted by "Who the fuck are you?" I'm sorry to say that.
Oh no.
I'm sorry. I want to say
No, just that they didn't know who you were. That's yeah.
Well, they were just trolling a bit, but yeah. There's some people.
Well, like I said, they'll know you now because you're moving on. So congratulations.
Thanks, and I wish you all the best luck, Esther. I say the same thing that I said to Lunchtime. When we meet each other next time, feel free to beat the crap out of me.
Yeah, so before we wrap this up, actually, I guess we'll let the credits finish regardless, but anything either one of you want to add before?
No, that's it. Thanks for commentating.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks for commentating, tracking. Thanks to the chat for hanging out. Always cool to see so many people being interested, and start playing the game if you do not already do it.
Absolutely, pretty good community we have going. Well, I'm new to the this community, so I felt pretty good going through this. But we do have more matches coming. Right about now, we should have on Speed Gaming. We have Christos Owen versus Jay Coper. A match has already started over on Speed Gaming 3. Started about 45 minutes ago. We have Walther 4 versus. Actually, hang on. Is that? Yeah. Okay. I'm looking at Eastern time and I'm translating correctly. That started, like I said, 40 minutes ago. Walther 4 versus Frostbite. That's over on Speed Gaming 3. A whole lot of other stuff going on. Link to the Past style tonight. Hope you all join us for all these. And be sure, if you're not already following the Speed Gaming channels, the main Speed Gaming channel, plus 2 through 6. As well as the ALTTP randomizer channels for all your Link to the Past randomizer needs. So be sure you're doing that. And of course, as always, follow the runners and my co-commentator and our tracker. Thank you again, Cool Papa Bell, for joining me. Thank you to Ricky of Kokuri for doing the tracking. Thank you to Speed Gaming for having us. And thank you to Fatboy300 for setting us up today. I really appreciate all the work that goes on behind the scenes, and I'll let you close it out.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a great series. So thanks to both of our runners for putting on a great show for us. And absolutely thank you as well. This was a lot of fun commentating with you. And like you said, there is plenty more rando going on the Speed Gaming channels and all around this tournament. So keep your eyes open. And thanks everybody for watching.